have I found a new way to break the head gasket on the Ford Focus RS. Hello everyone and welcome to day 521. Mileage on my car at the moment is 18,894. That means I've done about 10,500 on my second engine. Up until recently, I would have said that everything was fine with my second engine. Everything was running exactly as it should be. But I went to Surrey Rolling Road last weekend. I go there far too often, more for the social than anything else, but also a good opportunity to get the car on the rollers, just give it a health check, make sure everything's where it should be. And I'm really glad that I did. Cheers, guys. What did the Porsche make?
Hasn't been on one.
Has it not?
I'm unemployed, I've got no money.
Yeah. Just a 10 round. Just a 10 round, is it? It could be. What's going on?
Fueling's all fine.
Yeah? That's comforting. It genuinely feels fine on the road, no different at all.
Mark, you sure they didn't put one of those free coffee?
Yeah, maybe.
Is this since the head gasket?
Yeah, that last run, the 347, was after the head gasket.
But they've had all the pipes off, haven't they?
But it feels fine.
They've had all the pipes.
Well, they have.
Some people have got, since they've had their engine replaced, they've got boost leaks.
So, yeah, that didn't really go according to plan. Now, looking at the chart here, which is the run from last weekend versus the run just after I had the new engine fitted when it was making the full 350 horsepower, kind of follows it closely up to about 5k, and then, you know, it just starts tailing off and then pretty much just goes flat at the top end when it normally has a kick upwards. The fueling, the AFR reading here, seems to trace almost identically to the last one, so there doesn't seem to be a problem with that, and Charlie said the fueling all looks fine. So it ran 308 horsepower. They're meant to have 350, so a 40 brake horsepower loss. Where has that gone? I immediately booked it into Ford, so I've got that going in tomorrow, but then set about thinking, well, what can I actually find out? What can I discover? Is there anything obvious that's causing it to have this problem? The first thoughts are that it's not making the right level of boost. I've got a boost leak somewhere, you know, a hose clamp needs tightening up or something like that. Annoyingly, none of my data logging OBD Bluetooth adapters are working at the moment. I don't know if it's a problem with my phone, but I've tried a couple of phones and I've tried all three OBD adapters that I've got, and I can't connect to any of them, so I can't actually log the boost and, you know, stick it in Excel and compare it with the previous data that I've had. But what I can do, what I did when the new engine was fitted and just after I had it run in, I did go out and film and log some boost runs, and I did that with a camera kind of mounted here looking at the gauge. I know from previous work that the gauge is quite accurate in terms of how it traces what the ECU sends out of the OBD socket. So I mounted the cameras in the car, lined them up as closely as I could, both on the speedometer to catch the rev counter and the boost gauge, to take any perspective differences out of the equation, mounted them as closely as I could, and then went out and recorded a whole load of second gear runs. Now I filmed several runs in second gear from tick over through to the limiter, which is exactly what I did the first time, just after this second engine was nicely running and healthy. And run after run after run, they all did exactly the same. The data, well, the visuals, the recording and the boost gauge that I got is very, very consistent. So I took one of those runs and compared it with the previous run to see if there were any obvious differences in the way it was making boost or how much boost it was making. And looking at the two runs side by side, it's really, really clear and obvious that there is a difference. There is something not right. Still feels all right though. But yes, the boost, it's not hitting the same peak. The peak isn't quite where it was previously. It's boosting later, and when it does hit its peak, it's not holding the boost for as long. So is it as simple as a boost leak somewhere? Or is it, I've heard people mention boost control, boost solenoid actuator, something. I don't really understand what that is or what it does. But could that be faulty? Is that perhaps what's causing me to not make the boost and not make the power? And is, in fact, that lack of boost, is that the reason why the engine isn't making the power? Now, in my last video, I made a video on how to check your engine to make sure you've got the right head gasket and how to do it in 90 seconds. And it's really simple. And in doing that, I took some pictures of my gasket. I looked at those when I was editing the video together, but I didn't pay too much attention to them because all I was looking for was to make sure I clearly captured that brass rivet that everyone needs to see in their gasket. But with the lack of power, I had another look at those, and what I saw on them, I think is quite concerning. I'm not educated when it comes to engines, so if someone else, can let me know what they think, then please do. But it does look like the gasket is leaking oil. You can see that there is oil on the engine block above and below the gasket. There's none actually on the mating surface of the gasket, the underside. Can't get to the top because it's too restricted with the camera. But you can see that the underside of the gasket is absolutely clear, but there is clearly oil seeping from the edge of the gasket. It's moist, and that's where the dirt is collecting. Now, am I making too much of this? It's the paranoia creeping in. Am I making too much of this oil seeping from the head gasket? Does this normally happen? If you have a Focus RS Mark III and take a look at my last video, I'd be really happy if you could go and check your gasket, and if anyone else could let me know if they've got oil seeping from their gasket. Or, of course, is the oil coming from somewhere else? I've got to say, looking at it, it doesn't look like it is to me, but like I say, I'm no expert. It may well be coming from somewhere else. I'm interested in any thoughts and opinions, please. Now, if I am leaking oil from the gasket, does that mean I'm losing pressure in one of the combustion chambers? Is that the reason why I'm down on power? The car itself actually is, as far as I could tell anyway, running okay. I guess it does feel a bit flat now above 5k now that I think about it, but day to day I don't spend that much time above 5k. I just kind of ride the torque, don't really go over 5k that much. My MPG is fine, I log that religiously. Haven't seen any degradation in miles per gallon, so the engine itself does seem to be running okay. Is it the track day that I did recently maybe, where the temperatures got up really high and it was running under high load for the entire day? Has that just caused an issue and allowed some oil to seep out of the head gasket? As mentioned earlier, I've got it booked in with Ford. I've got it booked in for tomorrow, but for a visual inspection only. The tech that they want to take a look at it, who did the engine replacement, I think it was the chap that did the engine replacement, but there's one particular guy they want to have a look at it. He's fully booked out this week, and then he's on holiday for a week after that. So they're giving it a visual inspection tomorrow. Hopefully they'll let me have the car back, but if not, I would hope that I get given a hire car. But like I say, at the moment, the car seems to be running just fine. So I will see what they say and I will report back. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, found it useful. If you want to see what happens with this and why I'm losing power, why I'm leaking oil from the head gasket, please make sure, if you haven't already, that you hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell icon on. And as always, thank you very, very, very much for watching.